Nidche. Nidche. Nidche means pushed off. That's how you say it in English. That's how it's spelled in Hebrew. Nidche. Pushed off. It's a day which is pushed off, meaning physically, literally on the calendar, the 17th of Tammuz is on Shabbat. But because we don't fast, it is pushed off till Sunday. We don't pre-fast because we don't do things earlier that are negative. So we always push off the negative news for later, so we do it on Sunday. The only fast, like was mentioned before, that stays on its date no matter when it falls, is Yom Kippur. Correct. There we go. How are you? Oh, Yom Kippur. Because that's a biblical fast overrides anything else, even Shabbat. As you may know, that has happened in the past few years. So, from the period of the 17th of Tammuz, which we're going to explain what's so significant about that date, until the next fast, which is the day, again on Shabbat, the 9th of Av, is called Tish'ar B'Av. Again, it's not going to fast on the Shabbat, but rather it's going to be fasting. We're going to be fasting on Sunday. It's also a Nidche. This period of time is called the 3 weeks. The 3 weeks, basically 3 weeks. 3 weeks from fast bookend 1 to fast bookend 2 is called in Hebrew and in Halacha Ben HaMitzarim. I don't know if you can see that. Between the boundaries, Mitzarim is a boundary. We have a boundary called fast number 1 called Shabbat Tammuz, 17th of Tammuz. We have a second fast called Tish'ar B'Av, the 9th of Av. Okay. I want to introduce to you it's not necessarily halacha right now, but it's a background information, and with that background information, I believe we can appreciate the halacha even more. God forbid, gentlemen, God forbid anyone should die in the world. Whether it's a loved one or not a loved one makes no difference, it's always a tragedy. God forbid, but the most searing pain that a person can and should never ever have to overcome is when someone who is so close to him is dead and that person, a human being, is in front of him. That is the most searing human pain that someone could go through emotionally, probably, where it's just unfathomable. I'm not comparing it to anything else. It's one of the most unfathomable pains that human beings can go through. That's called the moment of death until, God forbid, the person is buried. So I ask you a question. When would you think the most relevant or strictest halachot of mourning should be? Well, I guess from the death is the highest, that's the most stringent, and then it would be progressively watered down. 7 days later, called Shiv'ah, 30 days later, Shloshim, a year later, 2 years later, Yurtzeit, etc., etc. But as you progressively move away from the anniversary of death, the halachot of mourning reflect your overcoming your loss. Well, guess what? Shiv'asar b'Tammuz until Tisha B'Av is the exact opposite. Let me explain. The first halacha that we're going to come in contact with is when, according to Ashkenazi custom, are you supposed to stop listening to music, stop shaving or taking a haircut? It is Motzoi Shabbat, this Saturday night. Effectively, it's really tomorrow, the last day, because it would have started Friday night, but that's impossible because of Shabbos. So, obviously, the most important halacha that we're talking about, that we're going to come in contact with right away, is no more shaving and no more haircuts and no more listening to music, no weddings, no festivities, they're all postponed. It's like, if you're familiar with the Sfirat HaOmer, that window of time between Pesach and either Lag BaOmer or a little later until Shavuot, whichever it is. It's about a month and change, a little bit. And there's only 3 weeks. Again, it's demarcated by the Shabbat B'Tammuz, the first fast day, and it ends with the last fast day called Tish'a B'Av. Those 3 weeks. So, the height of our mourning is on the fast of the 9th of Av. We sit on the floor, God forbid, like someone died. Don't you think it should be the opposite? We're going from the lowest type of mourning. Okay, we want to hear music. We can handle that. But sitting on the floor, not learning Torah on Tisha B'Av, that's like mamash, as if someone, God forbid, died. So that's backwards, gentlemen. That's backwards. Why is it backwards? It should be the opposite. And this is the introduction, because you have to appreciate how much the Torah not only talks to you as an individual, talks to the nation as Klal Yisrael, but is as real is. Because we know that we are over 2,000 years mourning the destruction of the Bet HaMikdash. Gentlemen, you have bleachers, mamish seats. Take a look at the window. What are you looking at? What are you looking at? You are looking at the most aberration of Klal Yisrael living in exile. God is in exile, gentlemen. What's that golden dome doing there? That's not supposed to be. And another one on the right of it. What that's supposed to be there? You know what's supposed to be there? The Beit HaMikdash. We're supposed to be there in the pilgrimage. We can't even get there without getting a Hafgana. We can't get there. We're in Galut, gentlemen. Yes, we're living in Israel. We can't get there. What are we doing? We are an age of God's, and where's God's house? That is a postcard picture. That should be in flames. Uh-oh. Don't say that. Okay. But it was in flames. It was in flames, and we were there at the Beit HaMikdash not once, but twice. On the same day. The 9th of Av. Ain't no accident that both temples were destroyed on the same day, gentlemen. Oh, that should be the height of our mourning, and it's not. Why? Because you appreciate what the Beit HaMikdash was? You know what a picture looks like? We have no idea. We think it looked like that. God forbid. No, it didn't look like that. It was the most beautiful building ever. People came from all over the world, if not Israel itself, to make their pilgrimage 3 times a year. We don't even know what we're missing. So how are we supposed to feel it? So guess what? So halakha reflects this reality. We start off slow. No shaving. No music. Wow, why? We'll get there. Don't worry. I didn't forget you. Don't worry. No shaving. No music. No weddings. Wow. What? Weddings. No weddings. Thank you. Thank you for that clarity. No weddings. Really? And then we get closer to Rosh Chodesh Av, the period called the 9 days, meaning from day 1 of Av to day 9. This year is going to be 10th because we pushed it up to Sunday. Wow. No meat, no wine. Ooh, upgrade. Tough situation. And then Tisha B'Av itself. No learning Torah. Sitting on the floor. Wow. Why? Because in order for us to appreciate what it means not to have the Beit HaMikdash, what it means for the Jewish people to be in exile, we have to be able to get this slowly but surely until we appreciate it. This is the Torah speaking to you and me. Because we know that in order for us to realize the pain, we're not going to feel it unless we have this progressiveness. So that's why halakha reflects God's wisdom and reflects how we're supposed to mourn slowly but surely. God forbid no one should ever suffer any tragedy in the world, but death is not something you plan. So it's a sudden thing. You're in, whether you like it or not, you got to mourn the person that passed away, okay? That is sudden, it's terrible, tearing you apart. Okay, so that's the most unfathomable pain. We have no choice about that. But here we have a choice, God willing. It shouldn't be. We should have Mashiach here and something else instead of the Golden Dome on our left. Amen? But in case God forbid, now we have to progressively get there slowly but surely. So that's the first halakha. But the first halakha is that the 3 weeks, this window of time, is now starting with the fast of Tammuz. There were 5 historical, this is also amazing, 5 historical from the biblical times until Second Temple plus era. There were 5 historical tragedies that happened on the same day. Number 1, the day that Moshe Rabbeinu broke the commandments, the day that the Jews, the 10 commandments, the tablets, the day that the Jews, God forbid, served the golden calf was on none other day than the 17th of Tammuz. That was tragedy. That was an unbelievable chutzpah. You just had Matan Torah. How many months was it? 2.5 months from Shavuot, and you went and you did the Egel. Are you out of your mind, Klal Yisrael? Yep, we are. And we did what? God for this golden calf? Don't understand it. Avodah Zarah, we have no idea what that means. In any event, that was the first of many sins that we did on that day. Second sin. Simultaneously, Moshe Rabbeinu broke the Luchot. Jews don't deserve the Ten Commandments. Second sin. In the first Beit HaMikdash, when the siege started, there was korbanot that were given every day and brought. The first break in the korbanot succession is called Tamid, which is actually this week's parsha. Speaks about the consistent korban, one in the morning, one in the evening. There was 2 sheep that were brought. So it was done, ended. That was a indication that the temple is going to be destroyed. It started the first time after 400 years. The first day that it stopped was on Shabbat B'Tammuz. Number 3, the city walls were broken and the armies, Nebuchadnezzar, his general, came in, and that was the beginning of the end until they got to the Beit HaMikdash. But the first crack in the wall was on Shabbat B'Tammuz. Number 4, there was a general by the name of Apostomos. He was the head, a captain of occupational forces, and he burnt a Torah on the same day, Shiv'asar B'Tammuz. That's tragedy. When a Sefer Torah of any kashrut is burnt, that is a tragedy. Number 5, and lastly, it's a machloket exactly who did this, either King Menashe or Apostamos himself. By the way, all of what I'm saying is reflected in the prayers that you'll be saying on Sunday morning in the Silichot, in the Slichos of Shabbat B'Tammuz. Put a cross, imagine, a cross in the Beit HaMikdash. In the Beit HaMikdash. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Years and years of people praying in the Beit HaMikdash, cross in there. Either Apostamos did it, he was a captain, or it was King Menashe. Unbelievable. So therefore, Chazal, the sages, designated this date as being a date that we have to significantly remember. It's not good for the Jews. Not at all. What's a fast day in general supposed to reflect? Reflection of yourself and why we are in exile, personally as well. What are we doing wrong? And when we're involved in everything else, gentlemen, we don't usually focus on ourselves and where we're going spiritually. So the fast day is supposed to give you a little bit of a jolt. Hey, reset. Stop eating, stop drinking, stop thinking about everything else. Get yourself involved in what you're supposed to, yourself and your spirituality. And that and only that is supposed to be your focus for at least 24 hours. But the fast day here, because of its rabbinical nature, does not start Saturday night, but rather starts at dawn in the morning. I forgot to check exactly when it starts, but it's dawn in the morning. Not when the sun comes up. Before. At dawn.
57 this Sunday.
5:57?
3:57.
Okay, 3:50. There you go. 3 minutes before 4. That's when the fast starts, and it ends about what, 8:20 or something like that? In the evening after Arvit, after Ma'ariv. It's a day fast. It's not a 24-hour fast. Okay, so these 3 weeks now are a very sad time in Jewish history, because time in Judaism is not just something that we live through. It is indicative of a reality. This time period of the 3 weeks, culminating in the 9th of Av, all throughout the ages, from the biblical times that we just mentioned, until and including the Holocaust, which is probably the closest that we have, has been seared with tragedy every time the 9th of Av. God forbid we shouldn't hear any more tragedies in this time. So therefore, halacha lemaaseh, practical halacha, you are not supposed to take any unnecessary, dangerous, perilous trips at all. But specifically during the 9 days, and if you can, you should really think twice if you can do something crazy during the 3 weeks as well. It is a time in which the mazal, if you will, is not exactly positive for us. Ad k'dei kach, to fast forward, so much so that halacha states that if someone has a court case with a non-Jew, he should push it off from the beginning of Av to a different month. The best of the 12 months is
Adar.
Adar. That's where our mazel is up. That's the time, the best time for us to be victorious. But this is a reflection of a reality. It's not just, oh, let's walk through the time. Yeah, it's Pesach, it's Sukkot, yeah, it's Purim, Chanukah, light the candles. No, that's not it. We are living in a reality, and that reality is real. And you can look in history. Go wherever you want and look at history. You'll say, wow, 9th of Av again? 2 temples, not 1. over 800 years plus, 2 temples. Why have all the days? Wow, that was the day of the spies. What's that? That was the day of the Inquisition. What's that was the day of Auschwitz and Holocaust? What? Yes. Okay, so the first halakha we're talking about is because of the nature of this year's fast day, like we mentioned, it's called. Anybody remember what I said? It's called nidche. It's pushed off. Therefore, we have, take this a little bit with a grain of salt, leniencies. Wow. Yeah, Rabbi, that's me. I don't want to fast. No, not so fast. But because it is pushed off, therefore, the halakha is not as stringent for those that are, God forbid, sick or not feeling well, need to be able to be lenient on the fast. Yes, this year you have more to rely on than on a normal year because of the nature of, it's not the 17th, it's really the 18th of Tammuz. It's not the 9th of Av, it's really the 10th of Av. So we have to fast because that's part and parcel of the calendar, but it's not the exact date, so therefore it's called a nidche. So, everybody agrees, there is no reason, God forbid, to even have a havamina, a first impression, to start to fast Motzei Shabbat. And this week even more so, because you have to fulfill the mitzvah of eating the 4th meal, the Melava Malka, right? We have Friday night, Shabbos day, Sudah Shlishit, Shalosh Sudas, and the 4th called Melava Malka. Of course, everyone should not say, I don't want to eat the Melava Malka this weekend because it's anyway the 17th of Tammuz and I'm supposed to fast tomorrow. No. Halacha says, you eat Melava Malka, my friend. Motzei Shabbat, Motzei Shabbos, you eat the Melava Malka, and you start to fast. You said 3:57. You make sure you finish the Melava Malka by 3:57. Okay? By 3:57, you got all the time in the world from after Shabbos until 3:57 to finish the Melava Malka. So do not start your fast until you have to, which is anyways a good idea. We don't want to fast more than we have to. Okay. So we said the 3 weeks. No shaving, no haircuts, no weddings, no music. Okay, Rabbi. I get this all the time, but I have to listen to music. I can't. I'm depressed, man. All year round, I can't handle it without my. Okay. So maybe we should see other people besides me, but that's your choice. But after you do that, I'm not listening to music because I enjoy it. I'm listening to music because I need it for my mental health. I need it because I'm taking my jog around the Rova Yehudi. I need it because it helps me concentrate. I need it because. The halacha is, the rule is, music for your enjoyment is what is prohibited. Music for anything else, background music. I walked into a store, I want to buy something. Whoa, I'm listening to music, I have to go out. No. First of all, you don't have to pay attention. Maybe you shouldn't. I don't know. Maybe you should pay attention to what's being said there. That's another point. But that's not considered music of enjoyment. I'm in the dentist office and don't worry, listen to music, okay? Don't listen to the drill. Listen to something else. Okay, one second. So all of these cases and more, these cases, the music, I will tell you something else though. But I can't, but doesn't mean everybody else has to listen to your music. You can listen to your music because you have an issue. So you listen to your music. But you don't got to play for the whole room. Maybe on somebody else on listen. So, Baruch Hashem, today we have earphones, iPhones, whatever you call them, and earpods. So you listen for your reasons. If you ask the question that you got a headset for to listen to music, so then you should do that. But you shouldn't have to go ahead and have everyone else listen to your music because you want to be lenient because of your situation for other people. So that's the rule of thumb. All those that need to be makel on the fast day, if you're not feeling well, and seriously not feeling well, of course you should try to fast, but if you're seriously not feeling well, you can be lenient this year more than any other years because of the fact that it's an itcha. Sefaradim.
If you're in a situation where you need music, is it better not to even in that case?
Yes, it's better. But if you need it, then you need it. If you don't need it, then you don't need it.
When you say it's better, what does that mean?
It's recommended not to listen to music. But if you need it for a certain purpose, other than the fact of enjoyment, then it's okay. Then it's mutar. That's permissible.
I'm asking, even if it's mutar, it's still better not to, right?
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So then you don't really need it. If it's better not to, and you want it to be better not to, so then you don't really need it. You really need it means you need it. So if you need it, you need it. Yes, Rabbi Elisha.
What's the time of the Omer? I thought during the time of the Omer we were...
It's similar. It's Thriyat Omer is one halacha, and this 3 weeks is similar to the same thing. Exactly.
What are we going into now?
3 weeks, it's called. Ben HaMitzarim. Ben HaMitzarim, over here, these words. Ben HaMitzarim. Between the Shivas of Tammuz era until the 9th of Av. Those 3 weeks.
So what happened in this time?
Oh, we had a few things that happened. 5 things. We'll get back to you. 5 things. Okay, so we had wars, we had tragedies, we had the luchot, the tablets were broken. Okay, that's what happened now. Yes, Rabbi?
You put on like the make your beard fall off cream instead of not shaving.
Not a good idea. Okay, gentlemen. So for the Sfaradim, excluding Moroccans, I'm not sure how many people are Moroccan here, but you're Moroccan, you're not in luck because the Moroccans don't shave either for 3 weeks. The Moroccan minhag officially is, I'll tell you the official word is that they also refrain from shaving and haircuts during 3 weeks. Yeah, call him. Tell me what he says. Yes. I'm Moroccan, but I'm Moroccan. You doing, my friend? Okay. So I usually don't. In 3 weeks, I usually don't. Okay, so now we have a question. Okay, Rabbi, I need to go out on a date. I need a shave. You could go do everything is as business as usual until Rosh Chodesh Av. Right now we're talking about Shabbat B'Tammuz. Hold on. Shabbat B'Tammuz. I didn't say anything about bathing. I didn't say anything. Listen to what I'm saying. But now the Shabbat B'Tammuz starts the idea of no weddings, no music, and no shaving, and no haircuts. That's it.
No weddings, no music, no shaving, no haircut.
That's right. You got it. One more thing. Shechianu. There is a minhag, not everyone agrees, but there is a minhag that's something that you have, like a new fruit. You do not make shechianu unless it's Shabbos or Rosh Chodesh, which is a few days in this period of the 3 weeks. Not to make shechianu because, as we explained, because of the 5+ things that happened during this time period of Isha, it's not a very opportune, positive time for the Jewish people. Shechianu, v'kiyimanu, v'higiyanu, azman hazeh. Doesn't sound so anticipation. I don't want to be in this season, and I'd rather be in a happier season. So we don't say shechianu, and therefore there are those that refrain from buying clothing that would require a shechianu upon wearing. They also refrain from buying new clothing. Shoes, socks, things of insignificance, go right ahead. Also, things that are not considered chashuv. Whatever it may be. A guy wants to buy a new kippah, a guy wants to buy a sefer, that's chashuv for sure. It's new, you don't make shechianu. Anything that does not require shechianu is allowed to be bought. Also, and this is important because people have asked me, if I'm flying to America or anywhere else, and I go through duty free, and I want to get a bargain, and if I don't do it, I don't mean that kind of bargain. I say a bargain that's something that's mutar to buy, and if I don't get a chance to buy it now, I'm going to lose out. That's called a davar ha'avad, a loss that's irreplaceable. So even though it may be something which would require shechianu, but it's lifted because of that. Anybody who has a mitzvah, let's say, Baruch Hashem, we have a Pidyon HaBen coming up, I think maybe even 2 in Yeshiva. The 31st day after the baby is born, falls out, whether you like it or not, in the 3 weeks, because he was born a month ago. Okay, so what? We shouldn't make a Brit Milah and say Shechianu, because he was born during this time. We shouldn't make a Pidyon HaBen and not say Shechianu. Of course we do. The same is true with the fruit. If the fruit can be salvaged in the fridge or whatever, for Shabbat or Rosh Chodesh, then we tell you, please wait until then to make the Shechianu on the happier of the weekday, which is Shabbat or Rosh Chodesh. Otherwise, if it's going to go bad, then you're allowed to make shechianu on that fruit as well. But anybody has a rule that would like to refrain from buying these types of articles of clothing, of course, it's better. Anyone's getting married, B'ezrat Hashem, after Tisha B'Av, and have a great deal now, and if they don't do it now, they're going to miss out. Yes, you're allowed to buy. In other words, within reason, there is leniency. But as a rule, you should refrain from those happier types of ideas in this particular time. Also, if you are a Rav and you are from the old country, and if you don't understand, I explain it to you. You get it? Don't do that during 3 weeks, because God forbid, because of the mazal is on the low, you may kill him. That's halakha and Shulchan Aruch. Don't take unnecessary risks, and any disciplinarian should put his hand where it belongs all the time, especially during these 3 weeks. And he shouldn't be makeh his talmidim. Also, God forbid, a father who abuses their children should also try not to do it at all. Okay, fine. So that's halakha. Only. Okay. Okay, gentlemen. Let's go further. So let's go further. Okay, so now, this takes us up to the 9 days. The 9 days, like we said before, we have an upgrade in the level of our avilut, of our mourning. It begins with Rosh Chodesh Av. Now, we have to appreciate what's going on here because we're getting closer and closer to the temples that were destroyed, which is one of the most terrible tragedies that happened during the Jewish people's history. So we have to prepare accordingly. One of the reasons why we're not allowed to have meat and not allowed to drink wine is because these two things engender happiness. I know you guys don't agree with me, but those that know that meat and wine for men, my friends, good steak and a good cup of wine next to it does wonders for the male's happiness. So, but it's also including women as well. Basar v'yayin is, we refrain. By the way, all Sfaradim, no matter if you're Moroccan or not, makes no difference. The Gemara tells us, put away the sakin, the shochtim, officially are not shechting anymore as of Rosh Chodesh Av until after Tisha B'Av because there's no meat and no wine. Okay, no wine to be gotten. Okay, so what does this include? This includes obviously meat. This includes any type of wine. This includes any type of cholent that doesn't have meat, but meat was cooked in it. The potatoes that were with the meat. Any type of meat stew without the meat. Excluding Shabbos and excluding Rosh Chodesh. Rosh Chodesh Av is a machloket. If that day you're allowed to have it's called a bisari, a meaty meal. Many say that it starts from the beginning of Rosh Chodesh until the end of this year is going to be a little bit later, till the Motzai Shabbos. Okay, according to some, even Motzai, the 10th of Av, also shouldn't have meat because it's after the fast. Okay, we'll get to that hopefully. In any event, all of that is prohibited. Why? Because those were the two things, besides making you happy, was also prominently done on the Mizbeach, on the altar, which we do not have now, which is part of the Bet HaMikdash. So therefore, we are prevented now from eating and enjoying those two things to commemorate that we don't have the kamanot and we don't have the wine libations. Yes, Alicia?
How are we supposed to do kiddush?
Excluding Shabbos. All of the 9 days exclude Shabbos. Shabbos is 2 Shabbatot this year. One is actually Tisha B'Av, the second one, and the first one is the week before. But the second one we'll discuss at a different time. So Shabbos and a machloket about Rosh Chodesh, those are the only 2 days during the 9 days that meat and wine prohibition may be lifted. Is lifted for Shabbos for sure, but not for Rosh Chodesh. So now, let me just go back and make sure we clarify that. Anything that tastes like wine in any type of recipe, if it tastes like wine, you're not supposed to eat that as well. Even though the wine is not necessarily a cup of wine, but the wine is now an ingredient, you should not be eating that on any day of the week other than Shabbos. If you want to make fish and wine, also they shouldn't be done because you're not drinking the wine, but the fish has not a taste of wine. But if the wine is what we call nullified, canceled, usually the ratio is from 60 to 1, you don't taste the wine, that's okay. And if the wine is used, I don't know if you guys are bakers, wine is used as an ingredient for bakery goods, as long as you can't taste it, it's also okay. But those two items, including grape juice, is off limits. Any whiskey that has a blend of wine is also off limits. Beer and other whiskeys that don't have any blend, like I think cognac has wine, but other things, I'm not such a big expert, but other wines are off the charts, are off the permissible list, but whiskey and beer is mutar. I'm not saying you should drink it. I'm just saying if you need to, don't drink wine, drink something else. Smoking weed is always prohibited. Just make sure we got that. Okay, now, 1 second, before I get questions, any food that is neutral, listen, we're working at Torah, you gotta say the truth. Any food that is neutral, let's say potatoes, rice, macaroni, that was cooked in a meaty pot, no problem, right? Any meat, is also permissible to be eaten, even though halachically that particular neutral food may not be eaten with dairy together. So it does have some meaty halachot restrictions, but it's not meaty. So therefore, it's okay to eat that neutral food during the 9 days. So if you have a meaty pot, I can't use it. Of course I can use it, but I can't eat meat with it, or I can't have a meat that was in the pot as a stew, even though I'm not eating the meat, the potatoes, also no good. There is I'm going to get back to you in a moment. There is a machloket about leftover food from Shabbos. The popular vote is any leftover food that was cooked on Shabbos, even though today is Sunday, I'm not allowed to eat the meat and chicken, whatever it was, or even the children leftover that was from yesterday, even though it was cooked for Shabbos and it's Shabbos food. Okay, but it's not Shabbos anymore. And that includes Malava Malka. So again, any meat, any wine, starting from the 9 days, Rosh Chodesh Av, until after the 9 days, and including the Motzei of the 10th of Sunday now, we'll get to there, God willing, is going to be prohibited. Anything that's neutral is okay, as long as you don't taste the wine, but a meaty pot that was used to cook neutral food is also the seder. They don't have to. So therefore, in yeshiva, we have a very, very nice menu for you guys. Pizzas and quiches and stuff like that. I guess dairy stuff. Except for the times that we have a siyum. A siyum mesechta. A siyum mesechta is a holiday. You're going to say, Elbaz, I'm not the one that learned from the beginning to end. Guess what? He's so happy that he wants to invite all of his friends. And not only his friends, but all of his staff. And everyone is allowed to engage in the meaty meal. It's one of the most favorite times in yeshiva. Wow, unbelievable. And we have a siyum so often, all of a sudden. So we have siyumim. And therefore, chicken and meat and wine is also included in the Suda. And this year, gentlemen, we have a leniency that we don't usually have. You see, in a regular year, the progression that we explained at the beginning of the shir today is that there's the 9 days. Often, there's 10 days, 9 days, which is more than a week, right? So there's usually a Shabbat in between. And then Tisha B'Av is a few days later. Let's say Rosh Chodesh will be Thursday, Shabbos will be the 3rd of Av, and then Tisha B'Av will be during the following week. That week is called in Halacha, Shevuah Shechal Bo Tisha B'Av. The week in which Tisha B'Av falls out. That gets a higher degree of mourning that wasn't even in the 9 days. Even the Sfaradim, even the Sfaradim. All of a sudden they come into the picture now. We don't do a lot of things. But here, Shavuot Shechal Bo, everyone does it. Okay. This year, we don't have Shavuot Shechal Bo. Why? Gentlemen, am I know? If you're following my line of thought, remember we said with this word? It's called Nidche. So when is the Tisha B'Av?
On Shabbos.
And when is it fasting?
The next day.
The next day. So Sunday is usually the first day of the week, right? Mm-hmm. Gotcha. So where is the Shavuot Shechal Bo? Where is the week of? Maybe nothing. Maybe the whole week before? Nah. Yeah, maybe. So for the Ashkenazim, they say 9 days is 9 days, my friends. What's the difference? Shavuot Shechal Bo? No, Shavuot Shechal Bo makes one daf kamina. So you guys are stuck. But the Sfaradim and others, they say there is no Shavuot Shechal Bo because why should we start from the week before? This fast day is on Sunday. So Sunday. That's it. It's all over. But guess what? For the Ashkenazim this year, since it's a machloket about whether we do have the week before or not, this year you're allowed to invite whatever, even though there may be a cap of how many people you're allowed to invite to the siyum. This year, we're lenient. You're allowed to invite as much as you want and have the meat and wine distributed to all those that want to participate in the siyum, even for Ashkenazim. So that's good news for the Jews, especially for the Ashkenazim. Okay, so before, you have another question there?
Question about chicken.
I answered it. Okay, thank you. Fish, whether you eat fish and milk together, that's another machloket, but let's say fish and dairy together or individually is okay, it's ideal. Also, I want to mention that again, someone, God forbid, is sick, he has a condition, whatever the condition is, doesn't make a difference, or he's not well, or we have children that need their meaty meals. Okay, so usually we are more lenient for those people that have a health condition to be able to eat meat. And I don't know who exactly needs wine, but if you have a health condition that needs wine, maybe, I don't know. Okay, but the health condition will allow you to, because maybe too much dairy for some people, they're lactose intolerant, and they can't function, and they need it. Okay, fine. So then, in Hanami, we will lift that prohibition for them. Okay, this is very important now. The halachot of bathing, changing your clothes to fresh clothes, laundry during the 9 days. During the 9 days, gentlemen, the halakha of Ashkenazim is you're not supposed to wear freshly laundered clothing. Period. Hold on, don't go anywhere yet. You're not allowed to do laundry, even if you won't wear them until after Tisha B'Av during the 9 days. Wow, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Okay, hold on, don't leave yet. So, we prepare ourselves by wearing what we want to wear for the following week. A little bit in order to get the freshness out of it. So therefore, when we put it on for the first time, or let's say second time now, it's not going to be freshly out of the box, out of the drawer, whatever it is. But I wore it already once. Oh, what is enough to take out the freshness of our clothes? So you may be aware of the trick. Let me wear 6 shirts in one shot, and this way the 6th shirt is going to be also not freshly laundered because I wore it already. Okay. Let's see. There used to be competition in the summer camps who can wear the more shirts to get ready. Does it work up halacha? Not so simple, because maybe 1 or 2 shirts, one on top of the other, will get your body involved, but number 5, 6, 8, 10 is just as freshly laundered before than after. So it may not work. So what do I do if I forgot and I cannot prepare, or I don't have the time? So the halakha says here, very interestingly, you're allowed to wear freshly laundered clothing on Shabbat, right? Like we said, by the wine and the meat. You're allowed to eat wine and meat on Shabbat, no problem. You're also not only allowed to, you're supposed to wear freshly laundered clothing on Shabbat. So what we do is, and this is brought in the poskim as well, Friday night is 1 shirt. You wear that for, let's say, an hour or 2, whatever it is. The next morning, you wear another shirt. You put the Friday night shirt away for the following week. The 2nd shirt you'll wear till after Shacharis, or till you get back home after the meal. Take it off, you're going for a nap, okay, take off that shirt, put on a 3rd shirt for mincha. And before you know it, you have 4 shirts. You didn't say, I am preparing this for the next few days. Now you're not allowed to do it. You can't prepare for Shabbat, to a Yom Chol, to a weekday. But you could do something that you're wearing it now, and then, I didn't say I'm doing it, it's okay. And then before you know it, you have 4 or 5 shirts. The same is true with all the rest, your trousers, whatever you want to do. If you want to do the same trick, you're allowed to do that. I am specifically saying outer garments. All garments that are considered what we call bigdei ze'ah. Those garments, socks, underwear, things that are sweat-absorbent clothing, you do not have to prepare. You do not have to prepare. That's considered okay, even if because we consider nowadays istanis. Istanis means we're sensitive. We're sensitive. We can't have it. We can't have unfreshly undergarments and socks, whatever, for ourselves. So we consider istanis. So if you don't get it, yeah, there is a stringency to prepare those as well, but it's not for everybody. But for sure, the outer garments, shirts, trousers, jackets, anything else, that should be prepared before the 9 days. Or if Aaron was first, go ahead.
If the shirt was like collecting dust for a while.
Shoes?
No, the shirt, the clothing, right?
Yeah.
You didn't clean it last week. Cleaned it 3 weeks ago. You just never wore it.
I got it.
That's still called fresh?
Look, I can tell you something else. There are those that'll say that if you throw your shirt on the floor, you step on it a couple of times, also lost. But, I don't know. I don't know how dirty your shoes are. You know what I'm saying? Or I stepped on it with a clean foot. Does it help? It doesn't make a difference. I put it on the floor, which is really not dirty. Does it help? So you really have to do your judgment. If you don't relate to it like freshly laundered clothing, I hear. But
Dusty a little bit.
maybe the Moshav is pretty dusty. I got it. So maybe. I'm saying, but if it's behind, it's just the same. I have a shelf full of clothes in my home. They don't get dusty. It's still freshly laundered. Yes.
What if you wash your clothes, you do laundry, and you hang it out to dry outside on those like community lines? Is that considered freshly laundered because they kind of smell funky like afterwards? You know what I'm talking about?
No, but I can imagine. No, it's freshly laundered. If it went through the wash, well, he was washed before. You mean? It was washed before.
Yeah, you wash it and then you.
Yeah. It's still considered freshly laundered, even if it smells not so good. I just suggest you change your detergent. But okay, that's considered freshly laundered. Okay, let's go back. So, if that's the case, you had a question?
No.
Okay. If that's the case with the laundered clothing, So then, if you forgot, so then you have a chance how to prepare during Shabbat. Okay, so now during the yes.
That all the clothes related stuff, that's only for Ashkenazim, right?
Oh, so really, in a regular year, this halacha would be relevant to Shavua Shachal Bo for those that are of Sephardi origin. But this year we don't have Shavua Shachal Bo, so you're free. So, if someone's following, they say, guess what? Asher! I'm Ashkenazi, you're Sephardi, maybe you can wear my shirt for me, and then I'll wear it after you. No, I can't do that. Okay, I find a non-Jew. I don't know if you should do this in this Rova, you never know, but if I find a non-Jew, say, maybe you want to wear my shirt for me, because I can't wear fresh clothes. You can't do that. You can't do the trick by asking someone to wear it for you. You could do it yourself on Shabbat, but you can't ask somebody else to do it for you. Okay, yes?
We're allowed to wear laundered clothes for Shabbos.
Correct.
So, can you launder the clothes
No.
during this time
Laundry.
before Shabbos?
Laundry. No. It had to be laundered before. The only time someone can do laundry if it's really, really stuck and he has nothing else to wear and he's mamish, then we have to ask a question about that. That has to be qualified. But the normal situation is that a person does have other things to wear. It's just he wants to wear that particular garment. That's why he wants to wash it. But really, it should be prepared before. Forewarned is forearmed, and that's what you should know about it before. I can tell you another exception is that when a person knows that he's traveling and he's not going to have time to do laundry because Sunday night after Tisha B'Av he's got a flight and he has this basket full of laundry and he's not going to be able to do it and he get to a hotel and he's not going to have time. So then we allow him to do laundry now in order for him to facilitate his wearing those clothes later because he won't have time to do it afterwards. Anybody that has time on Sunday night and Monday morning after Tisha B'Av, obviously that should be the plan. Unless you have a specific situation, then you should ask Rav, and I'll tell you what to do. Okay, I like to. I want to go back to that for a moment. That's Rosh Chodesh Av. We minimize our simcha. I'd like to share with you a thought from Rabbi Schwab, Zichrono Levracha. He said, "What does it mean, Mishenichnas Av mema'atim b'simcha, as opposed to Mishenichnas Adar marbim b'simcha?" The literal translation is that when the Chodesh, the month of Av, comes in, we minimize our simcha. As opposed to when the month of Adar, as we spoke about it before, comes in, we maximize, we increase our simcha. But it doesn't say that a Jew should never be b'simcha. You are always b'simcha, just sometimes you minimize it, and sometimes you increase it. But simcha is the hallmark feature of a Jew. He said, it's like, guys, I know I'm dating myself, but you gotta bear with me. The pilot light of your gas oven. What's that? The pilot light of your gas oven was your great-grandmother by now had an oven and she turned on the gas, but it wasn't the first time she turned on the gas. It's a pilot light underneath. And that pilot light was always on constantly. Happiness, said Rabbi Schwab, is the pilot light of the Jew. Sometimes you maximize it and increase it during Adar, and sometimes you decrease it and lower it during Av. But the pilot light remains on. Okay, so after we do that, that's why we can understand. Some people refrain from doing extracurricular activities, even more so during the 9 days. Some people, not in today's day and age, don't make so much business. We're makel, we're lenient because, like I said before, if you have a court case, you push it off, etc. Okay, fine. So let me talk about now a little bit about Tisha B'Av itself, which God willing we won't be, but just in case, it's going to be on Shabbat. Okay, let me talk about that for a second. Because this year we're going to have another Yom Iyun, hopefully when we get closer, so you don't have to remember everything now. For now, the 3 weeks halachot has been said, pretty much finished. But I want to discuss with you an upcoming event called Tisha B'Av on Shabbat. You see, we have a predicament here, because Tisha B'Av is the night of Av, but it's Shabbat, so what do? The halacha is on Shabbat, we don't have any mourning in public. So does that mean they're not supposed to wear my Shabbos clothes? No. We paskin that everyone is allowed to wear their Shabbos clothes, even though today is Tisha B'Av, because it's also Shabbos. It's Shabbos, so as if it's canceled and it's pushed off till tomorrow. Tisha B'Av is going to start tonight. Tonight's Shabbos, right? Motzei Shabbos. There's no Malava Malka. Not like this coming weekend where there is Dafka Malava Malka. On Tisha B'Av, the other end of the bookend, there is no Malava Malka because Tisha B'Av is the fast that's rabbinical that simulates Yom Kippur. All 5 prohibitions apply like Yom Kippur. Namely, can't wear shoes, can't eat and drink, no marital relations, and you can't anoint yourself with any type of smearing. Deodorant is mutter on Tisha B'Av, not in Yom Kippur, but deodorant is mutter. That's not considered smearing things on you to smell nice on Tisha B'Av because of rabbinical nature. But that was on Shabbat, not on Sunday. No, this year it's on Sunday. Therefore, on Shabbat, it's as if it's a regular Shabbos, but there's still things that we refrain from. We have to refrain from eating as soon as sun sets. That means that the normal Sudah Shlishit, Shalosh Shudas, that we start from the afternoon on late Shabbos afternoon and continue into Motzei Shabbos. No, if you're taking a look at the calendar, it's going to be posted sooner or later. You'll notice that we're going to have to daven mincha earlier. We're going to have the last meal on Shabbat to be the last meal before the fast starts. And that's going to be what we call the Sudat HaMafseket, the Sudat that is interrupting between Shabbos ending and Tisha B'Av starting. And we have to be ready for the fast at 7:33, because as opposed to all the other fasts, Tisha B'Av starts at sunset. This next week's fast starts in the morning, the dawn, 3:57. But Tisha B'Av starts at sunset. So we're going to have a calendar which is going to reflect that. But you're allowed to wear shoes on Shabbos. You don't have to refrain from eating and drinking. All these things, they don't start until Motzei Shabbos. Yes.
So the wine includes like grape juice and stuff, right? So like, if I heard that if you have some like white grape juice, then it helps with the B12 vitamins for like fasting the next day. So you can have that on Shabbos, but not I want to do Marav and enter into the fast.
You mean for Havdalah?
For like just in general to drink some grape juice to get
when on Tisha B'Av?
On the Saturdays. Like
Saturday you will be able to, but not Saturday night.
Yeah.
Okay, so the question that we're going to answer and we're going to end with today is: so there's 2 Shabbatot, two weekends this coming 9 days. One before Tisha B'Av itself and one of Tisha B'Av itself. What do we do with the first one? What do we make Havdalah on? What do you make Havdalah? What's the matter, Rabbi? You make Havdalah on wine. Wine! But it's part of the 9 days. How can you make Havdalah on wine? No, but it's not Shabbos. We're making Havdalah. Shabbos was 24 hours ago, and now we're making Havdalah. Only Shabbos is allowed to have grape juice at once. So what should we make Havdalah on? So we have a machloket here. We have a big machloket. There are some that will say that yes, you should this weekend, not this weekend, but the Shabbos before Tisha B'Av, you should be making it on beer instead of wine. And you say Sha'akol Niyad Varo instead of Bar Geffen, obviously, because you're not making Havdalah on wine, you're making Havdalah on beer. There are those that will say, no. It's okay even to make Havdalah on wine because it's a mitzvah. And because it's a mitzvah, we lift the prohibition of drinking wine, because even though it's not technically Shabbos, but it's a mitzvah that comes from Shabbos, Havdalah on Shabbos, you're allowed to drink wine. And there are those that will say, therefore you're allowed to drink it. And there are those that will say, no, you shouldn't drink it, you should give it to a minor under the age of bar mitzvah who doesn't really know about the Churban, but he knows about chinuch. In Jerusalem, it's a very hard age to figure out, so usually you can't find it. So usually those that are lenient on drinking, they'll drink it themselves. That's Saturday night. There are those that will say grape juice is the beverage of choice because it is a bar geffen. It's not made to be brought on the mizbech as a libation, so it may not be as stringent as the wine itself. It is a little bit of mitzvah. That's the best compromise. So if you can't find beer, use grape juice and make a bar geffen. Gentlemen, we should not have a Tisha B'Av this year. Tavshin Pei Gimel should be the beginning of the redemption and not the exile. Thank you so much for listening. It's been a pleasure.